Coach Jay Bateman.
A couple of weeks ago, you mentioned something about how you like to see an opportunity to get 3 linebackers on the field at one time. Well, you had that opportunity Saturday. I think they mostly were out on the field, 3 together. How'd they perform, and how does that change your defensive approach when you have 3 linebackers out there?
We played with Hopper as the Sam against App State a lot. We wanted to do it against Miami a lot with D. Ross, and I just didn't think he was quite ready for. Put a lot on his shoulders on Saturday. Man, he played a lot of different. He did a lot of different jobs, so I didn't think he was quite ready. And I just felt like after the App State game, we needed a little bit. We needed a little bit better edge rusher to the field. Some of the stuff we were doing. We wanted to get both of them on the field more. We were kind of working in that direction, and I think a big part of it too was Chaz's improvement. We felt like we couldn't take Chaz off the field much, and so I thought they played well. I thought Jeremiah Gimel played really well. Did a great job getting us lined up, and then some of we were trying to be, we were trying to show a lot of different stuff up front to try to protect the run box because we were pretty light in the run box most of the game. And he did a great job with that, and then I thought Chaz played really well. But we asked Dominic to do a lot, and I was really happy with him. So, I think every opponent's a little bit different, right? So I think depending on what Georgia Tech does, how we decide to play against them. DJ Ford's still a good player. He played less than he normally does, but that was just the plan for that opponent.
Jay, are you like the players in that, when you have like a big opponent coming up, get you giddy? How do you approach? I'm wondering what's your mindset when you approach?
More scared. I don't know. I think I approach every week the same. And I talk to our guys about that all the time. I try to spend. I'm here the same amount of hours and the same amount of time, same amount of film study, as for every opponent. I think it was interesting for us this year because in our off-season film study, App State, we weren't really sure what they were going to do with a new head coach and new play caller. Miami, we weren't really sure what they were going to do with a new head coach and new play caller. So we felt like Clemson, Wake Forest, and South Carolina were the 3 teams in the first 5 that we could really have a pretty good beat on what they were going to do offensively. So I think going forward now we now have got to look at the games and really have a better view of the in-season games for how we're trying to defend people.
Jay Mack talked about how with this team in particular, he really wants to be aggressive and try to win as many games as possible, maybe more aggressive than normally would be. I know you came in last January, I guess, talking about being an attacking style of defense. It was nothing new to you, but when the head coach is really on board with being so aggressive, does that help you schematically when you're preparing?
Oh yeah, Coach Brown is awesome. So every week, he's got a plan for how he thinks we're best going to have a chance to win. And some weeks it's be a little more aggressive, some weeks it's not. I think he realizes that the strength of our team is probably on defense is attacking, and I think that's my mindset. That's kind of how we want to build it. So I think it's to create an attacking mindset, but try to put as less stress as you can on the secondary. I thought we did a good job of that on Saturday at times.
Matt called Miles Dorn a hero on Saturday with the way he kind of bounces around. You called him and Wolf both kind of lead smart. Kind of the way he performed on Saturday, kind of speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I love Miles Dorn. I told him on Monday when we found out Wolf definitely wasn't going to play. I'm like, hey, look, you got to be able to play these 2 spots. And then we got ready for the game, and I think it was Dre said, who's going to be our 3rd nickel? And I was like, Miles. You better be ready for that too. So Miles is really smart. I actually think the boundary safety is probably what he's more natural fit for. All the NFL guys, when I talk to them, that's what they think about him is a guy who can get more involved in the run. I thought he did a really good job. Really smart. So I'm glad he's there. He's got to carry his weight a little bit with some of those young guys out there these next few weeks.
What did you see with Clemson's offense that not generally what you did to stop it? Because they had less first out they've ever had this season and a lot less yards. What was your general take on this game?
I think the main thing was I think they were just really scary outside at receiver. And I wanted to give them as few shots on goal as I could outside against one high defense. People that have played in one high defense have done okay for a while, but then all of a sudden you turn around and it's 42 points because they've given up 3 huge plays. So we felt like we had to disguise that. And I thought we did a really good job with our front. Tim Cross, I thought our front played really well. in the run game, two gapping some stuff, trying to take up two gaps with one guy, some D-line twists and some D-line stunts, trying to take some run gaps away, and try to get him to run the ball and then handle a run box with less defenders. I thought we did a good job of that. And then I thought, Miles Dorn and especially I thought when Don Chapman came in, they both did a really good job of being the extra safety in the box from depth. That's a hard thing to do, and I thought especially against their running back. I thought we tackled him a couple of times with some really, really tough tackles that were big plays.
I noticed Storm played a little more than in previous games. Is that because of the way he's played practice or Ross?
Yeah, I mean, from the get-go, we thought Storm was really talented and going to be a really good player. I think when you have a freshman DB, like the first game when Trey Morrison got banged up in South Carolina, it was like, okay, Storm's in the game. It's like, okay, like, I'm very confident in Storm ability-wise. We hadn't played, and the last thing you want to do, I think, is put a corner out there and have him have a bad day, and sometimes that can affect him for a year, And so we're trying to bring him along and insert him in some time. He played against App State, a good amount, and then we just felt like after that game that he's playing at a level he deserves to play more, and so we started him and he played really well and we kind of rolled with it.
How detailed does a guy have to be when you're disguising stuff? Is it down to their eyes and where they're looking at the snap, or how far does that go?
So certain calls are extremely detailed. Certain calls we're trying to paint a picture of a different play. Especially if you have some success with a play on defense. The next game you try to paint a picture. Hey, look, this is that same look, and then it's not. Some of it's very detailed. Some of it is more general. We're trying to show two high safeties or one high safety, and then how you work with that. I thought we did a really good job on Saturday with our safeties disguising. That was a big help to our defense.
Did you bring more pressure in terms of blitzes or than previous games? It seems like you got the quarterback pretty well.
So I think we did a good job of getting our linebackers and the running back in one-on-one pass protection situations. I didn't think the people that have blitzed him a bunch, they get chewed up. I think he's so big, and he's so tall, he sees it coming. So he sees it coming off the edge, and what happens is then it's getting out to Ross and Higgins, and you're in trouble. So our thing was to try to show and then just try to get running backs and linebackers isolated. And I think, early on, I thought the first couple third downs was really good. And then you give them credit, they kind of did some stuff different protection. But, we were trying to get Surratt on the back as much as we could. And because the other thing was that was kind of right up the middle. And I felt like any twist, anything off the edge, like he just saw it and got rid of it.
What happened on that touchdown where Chaz was on and T. Higgins just kind of
Screwed
curious
up.
about it?
Yeah. We called it earlier in the game. It worked really good for us. Played it well, and then just there's miscommunication. So I got to do a better job coaching it.
Speaking of communication, Gemmell said after the game that he thought communication for the most part was really good and was an important part of it, particularly with all the young players. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been begging them. Use your mouth. Talk. Communicate. Because so many times I feel like we get the look or we get the call, and they're like, okay, got it. And it's like, no game was ever lost because of too much communication. And they hear me say that all the time. So I think we're making progress towards that end. It's still not where I want it to be.
How do you get that out of them, especially if it's not an innate part of someone's personality to be that way?
You demand it. Yeah. I think if you ask them, they will tell you that is something that I discuss with them at length every day.
In your experiences, how much does them actually seeing it pay off on the field kind of help that transition?
That's the number one way to get them to do something, is to have success with it, right? So if also they realize, hey, when we talk to each other, we have less mental errors and we're all on the same page more, and we're able to see things from the boundary, we see things from the field that we wouldn't have known if we didn't get communicated. Then you have a lot better chance to have success.
What's improved most in Chaz's game over the past few weeks?
I think probably the consistency of physicality. I think when you're a quarterback, you kind of hand the ball off and throw a hitch and just kind of hang out. And I think he's learned that at linebacker, every snap is a fist fight. And I think football makes sense to Chaz. So like you can explain things to him. He's like, sure, I understand how that works together. So I think his ceiling is extremely high.
Is he performed better than you expected at this point, 5 games in.
Yeah, I would say so.
Is he, how would you define his athleticism? I mean, because the quarterback, we didn't see it too much, you know, but
Yeah.
it seems like he is.
You know, it's funny, so when we were going to play Miami, Coach Brown played a couple clips of like him not getting it done at quarterback last year against Miami. And like there's like an interception he's chasing. I'm like, dude, you look slow. He said, you can't run with the rib protectors. I was like, those must have been some big rib protectors. But I think Chaz has, I think he's really talented. I think he's worked really hard in the weight room. And I think, you know, he's, you know, I think he's got real speed. He's athletic. And he's a hard combination of that. There aren't many people that walk the earth that have a combination of skills that he does.
How's his football IQ too? Because I'm assuming he played quarterback for so
It's
long.
really smart, and that's what I was getting at. I mean, like, he understands, like, okay, in this coverage, where should the ball go? Like, I had those conversations with him all the time. Like, hey, when you were playing quarterback, if you saw this coverage, where would you throw it? I would throw it there. Okay, so let's go cover that guy. You know, and that makes sense to him. You know, and I think that's been probably the biggest advantage he's had coming over is understand how all 11 work, which I think in linebacker you have to have. I think Jeremiah Gemmell has that too. I think Jonathan Smith has that too. You know, but I think Chaz is applying a little bit more of the offensive side to it, which helps.
Was Strobridge feeling good Saturday, and if he's full go, how much does that help you?
Yeah, I mean, Jason's a really, really good player. I thought he was closer Saturday. His energy was a little better, I felt like. You know, I'll give him credit. He tried to go every week, you know, and I remember against Wake Forest, you could tell how upset he was he couldn't go. So, I mean, when he plays, we're a lot better football team.
What have you seen out of Georgia Tech's offense as you come ahead to Saturday?
I mean, obviously their transition from the option. So you see, you know, there's some pieces that, you know, like they've got the tight ends that transfer. I think he's a good player from UConn. They were recruiting tight ends before, you know, so it's smart of them to go get a guy. But I think the quarterbacks are really athletic, like you'd expect. I mean, Abe Oliver's really fast, scary fast. So, I mean, they're doing a good job. I mean, they give you a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a lot of runs, and it's you know, they're spreading you out, and getting the ball in space. I mean, they're doing a really good job.
Previously, under Paul Johnson, they had a way that they went about with their blocking schemes and stuff. How different is what they do now up front from what they did before?
Yeah, what they're doing now is what most, you know, conventional offenses do, you know, give or take. You know what I mean? So it's more zone stuff. It's more pass protection. You know, I know this much. I saw that option stuff for 5 years. I would much rather defend inside zone. So I'm glad they switched.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Jay.